Good evening and welcome to tonight's Undaunted, bringing you to the news untold stories. I am Oyin Opala. Let's begin. The hills of Bamenda, once echoing with the peaceful toll of church bells, now trembles under fear as clergy are targeted in Baba 1 on the 15th of November. The parish priest of BBC and his assistants were abducted on their return from Mass, and 4 priests alongside a layman who sought to negotiate their release were also taken. While 5 captives have been freed, Father John Beriyu Tata remains in the hands of armed gangs, whose demands for ransom the church refuses to meet, leaving the community in a tense limbo between hope and despair. Archbishop Andrew has issued a resolute ultimatum declaring that if Father John is not freed by November 26, all parishes, schools, and Catholic institutions in the Undaunted deanery will close. Priests will be withdrawn and the Blessed Sacrament removed from churches. Should the ordeal continue past November 28th, the Archbishop, clergy, and faithful will journey to Bambili 1 to demand Father John's unconditional release, standing together as a living testament of faith in the hands of fear. In a heartfelt plea, the Archbishop called on all stakeholders, including state force, to embrace dialogue and prioritize peace, lamenting the ongoing suffering of communities trapped between violence and insecurities across the Amazonia, with a prayer for Father John's safe return. He declared that the church and its people have reached the edge of endurance, no longer willing to witness attacks on those devoted to serving others. All these and more we'll talk on tonight's Undaunted, but first, let's get the prime headlines. Tonight on Undaunted, we told you that Bambili students abducted amidst ongoing conflict that has rendered the students' residential area unpredictable. Also tonight, Bamenda Archbishop threatens shutdown over priest kidnappings. Also, Menka Massacre resurfaces and new allegations against 2 Pinyin residents. The Gambia holds Cameroonian opposition figure on humanitarian grounds. And of course, Ramaphosa closes historic first African G20 summit and meets sharp policy divisions, while on the foreign scene, UNCF strikes a new deal to slash cost of malaria vaccine, boosting access for millions of children. Now, let's get the news in full briefing. UNICEF. Several students are missing after being abducted in Bambili during a gunfight between Amazonian State Army and French Cameroonian Army in the down quarters area. The incident has sparked widespread panic among the students' population, raising serious questions about their safety and security. This is not an isolated incident in Bambili, which has experienced a surge in violent attacks and kidnappings. In November 2019, a student was killed and 12 others were abducted by armed men in Bambili. The kidnappers demanded a ransom of over 2 million francs CFA for their release. Similar incidents have occurred in recent years. The University of Bamenda and surrounding areas have been plagued by insecurity, prompting concerns about the impact on education and the local economy. Residents have called for increased security measures and energy security consultations. Recent incidents in Bambili, A student was killed and 12 others abducted in November 2019. In another incident, a teacher was killed in April 2025, and a branch manager of Mogamo Travel Agency was killed near French Cameroon's gendarmerie unit in May 2025. In May 2025 as well, French Cameroon security forces launched a sweeping operation against and arresting at least 100 students in Bambili, and all of these are amid heightened tensions. University professors and staff have been targeted in recent kidnappings as well, including Professor Mbanga Lawrence in August 2025, and so many other arrests, too numerous to mention right now. Barrister Mbeseha, at this point, the insecurity has become the order of the day again. It seems like there are seasons for all of this. At some point, it will almost look like it's a closure. At some point, it will look like it's been in a hut. At some point, it will look like it's been taken care of. And at some other point, it will look like all hell is being let loose. Where there is insecurity on one corner, there is kidnapping on the other corner, and there is post-protest on the other corner, and then there is still everybody suffering at the end of the day. Welcome to tonight's Undaunted. How are you doing?
I'm great. Great to be here once more.
Hello, Barrister. I'm trying to ensure I can really get your sound.
I say I'm great, and I'm happy to be here once more this evening.
All right, you're welcome. First into our report for today, the first report that we are looking at. And I'm saying insecurity seems to be the order of the day. Looks like this is the season for insecurity and kidnappings here and there. Bambili seems to be the first on our report list tonight. We use that opportunity to also talk about some other happenings and kidnappings that has been related to Bambili throughout 2025, and I'm sure that you would have a thing or two to say.
I think doubt that there's heightened insecurity in Bambili, Bambili and Bambu. It is understandable. Why? Because that is the center of education. The youth are found there. It is activism expected in the youth. If it is looking for money to take by the ransom takers, expect it to be there, because students come in with money. Their parents are rich. You can capture a student and then the parents will come to give you money. If it is ordinary crime, soldiers looking for free women to rape and have free sex, they are all there in their numbers. And so expect all these things to happen. The question we should be asking is, why are all these things happening? What is the government, which is supposed to take care of security, doing? They are able to deploy thousands of bees in Kambe, in Uma, around the whole country. What have they done with this heightened insecurity in this particular part of the town? It rises and falls, again understandable. If the students are supposed to be on holiday, the rate of criminality will reduce. Students would have dispersed and gone back home. The ones you capture are no longer sitting there for you. The free women you want to have for free sex are all gone. Once they come back with money. For looters, for extortionists, they will find the correct place. And so, again, the central question is, this is Bamboo. It did not start today. It has been going on there for a long time in Bamboo, and I've said, for understandable reasons, the youth, if it is political activism, they are there. If it is just young men having money, they are there. And so if a rightful government is in place, they should be able to know this. They should be able to analyze this, that this is a place where these things are supposed to happen. But the strange thing is, all these kidnappings, abductions, nobody, to the best of our knowledge, has been brought to trial. And so there's total absence of government. There seems to be total absence of real security in the area. And so it's the fault of government. They have failed to do what is their primary duty. Their primary responsibility is to secure the citizens, to secure the population. If all these multifarious actions are taking place, and we have not seen anybody being prosecuted, we have not seen anybody going to jail, then who is to blame? Therefore, it's a lawless place. It's a place without government. And yet, of course, you find people there, the sous-prefet October, I think Tuba includes that area. They prefer Mizam. They include all that area. The governor, they include all that. They have commander, generals, and colonels sitting in upstation. How many kilometers is it from upstation to Bambili? Not far away. And so, again, it is a total absence of government, apparently deliberately done to punish Amazonians. Because this insecurity cannot be seen in SWAT too. They will go and arrest the guys. They will investigate. You cannot find the University of Garoua or the University of Yamle 3 or 4, whatever thing they call it there. So why do they allow this to exist? Because Bambili is essentially a university town, part of the town. And so if the government is not doing anything, to me, it is discrimination to punish Ambazonians to suffer the fate of raising their fingers to protest against what is going on. And so it's the fault of government. Let them take the challenge. It's easier. It's better for them to go look for the criminals in Bambili than to deploy battalions to go look for one amber somewhere in Manfe, 2 ambers somewhere in Libya, where the students suffer, where the rare youth are in trouble. And so, Mr. Governor, Prefect, Mr. Minister, particularly is supposed to be in charge of all those things. Where are you? Why are you doing nothing? The answer is best known to you. The answer is enforcement have to be free. Ambazonians have to be free. They have to take care of the unsecurity, including, most importantly, Bambili, where their youth exists. They grow, where they are groomed, mission, and all activity them better citizens tomorrow. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Barrister. Next one is also a very sad report. Of course, I think at this point I should also be letting you know that it seems like Mondays are usually filled with very sad reports. The Archbishop, the Archdiocese of Bamenda, Archbishop Andrew Kier has issued a decisive ultimatum following the abduction of multiple clergy by armed gangs in Babawon. On the 15th of November, the parish priest of BBC and his assistant were kidnapped while returning from a mass in Ndop. 4 priests and a lay person who attempted to negotiate their release were also detained, bringing the total number of captives to 7. Although 5 hostages were later freed, the kidnappers continued to hold Father John Berinyu Tata and have demanded ransom, a condition the Catholic Church firmly rejects. Archbishop Andrew Kier condemned the escalating trend of kidnappings, targeting the clergy, and emphasized that the Church will not fund criminal activities. According to him, if Father John remains in captivity until November 26, all Catholic parishes, schools, and institutions in Ndop Dinari will shut down. Priests will be evacuated for their safety, and the Blessed Sacrament will be removed from the churches. Should the situation persist until November 28, the Archbishop, clergy, and the lay faithfuls will proceed to Babawon to demand for John's unconditional release. The Archbishop urged all stakeholders, including Colonial Army, to prioritize peace and dialogue in a crisis now entering its 9th year. He called for an end to the suffering of communities across all of Ambazonia who remain trapped between violence and insecurity, concluding with a prayer for peace and for the Reverend Father's safe return. The Archbishop declared that the Catholic and his people have reached their limit and will no longer tolerate attacks on those serving their community. Barrister, last week we had several reports as it regards to or relates to the religious faiths. You know, it wasn't even the Catholic Church last week. We're talking about the Baptist and other, I think the Anglican as well. And today, it seems like it is a turn of the Catholic Church. Or this week, beginning this week, it seems like the Catholic Church has joined in the cry for the release of their priests and other lay and clergymen who are already, you know, in detention and in captivity. Barrister, it's not like anyone is safe, like you tried to explain the other time. Everybody, both the common man out there, is facing the same issue. The religious faith is facing the same issue. The insecurity is still on the high side. But the threat of retrieving Catholic first, do you think that at this point is the best thing for Reverend Kia to do?
I don't know what is the best thing for him to do, but I can analyze it from my own angle. The reverend priests, they are saving a community of people we call Christians. I've said here before that the church is not found in the cathedral. The church is not found in the four walls of a room called the church. It's a community of worshippers who are united in faith, in belief. And so I've said, there's nobody in DOP. That's happening in DOP. God continue. There's no other person in DOP other than a Christian, a civilian, a pagan, who can say that he had not tasted the problem that is going on now, the so-called Ambassador problem. They have tested it directly or indirectly. They are one party. So everybody there, including all the Catholic Christians, including priests adopted, they have felt the consequence of this. What happens to the church? Analyze it very carefully. Now, the priest was adopted. Two of them, I'm told. That's the story. And then the bishop sent 4 others, plus a layman, to go plead for their release. They went, adopted. When adopted, they came right to them, they saw them, and they said, "You're no longer going back." It's not like they went and captured them in the road. No. They came right to where these guys live. They talked to them. And they said, "Okay, we're keeping you here." After that, they said, "All of you can go away, but we'll keep one man." One thing which is important there is, they have not killed the priests. Killed the people who wanted it. The critical point is given and saw the individuals and talked to them. And they gave what the condition they gave. That is a different story. And so the Archbishop issues an order, which ends up with, if this thing don't happen, the church will close. The deanery of Ndop will completely shut down. Well, what is the goal there? What is the goal? Why does the bishop aim to do that? The bishop believes, my thinking, that the community of Christians, they know these guys, they know where they are. They can mount pressure on them to release the priests. That's the bishop's goal. He said, by this day, if they're not released, we'll pray, we'll do if they're not released, we'll shut down the church. He wants the Christian community to mount pressure on the individuals keeping this guy. But strangely, these individuals are not hiding, because other priests have been there, as you are told, and tried to negotiate the release, and they were simply told to go away. They didn't beat them. They didn't take any money from them. They simply asked them to go back. And one of the conditions which I think we're missing is, they said, according to what I heard, let the Archbishop himself come. Want to see him. Want to see him. But rather than, even if they didn't say they wanted to see him, he knows the house where they are. The 4 priests and laymen who went there can take him to that spot to see those gentlemen, or whatever they call themselves. He can talk to them directly, not through the ordinary citizens. He can go and talk to them. What is difficult? If I were the Archbishop, I would simply say, you saw them. I would ask my priest, you saw them? They say, yeah, I saw them. We saw them. And they asked us to go away after releasing us. And they said they will continue to keep this gentleman, the other priest, or they want to see you. If I were the Archbishop, I would move there, because they have not threatened to kill anybody. I will go and see them and ask them, what do you want? Their aim is not just 10 million ransom. They have something different, which I think, if the Archbishop took the pains himself, he's a human being. The other priests are just ordinary priests. Any of those priests could have become a bishop. A bishop is first a priest. and they elevate you from that position of a priest, and you become a bishop. So if the Archbishop cared much, I think it would be proper for him to take the 4 priests who went there and say, let us go and see them. You have been there. You saw the house where they were living. You saw them. You talked to them. You spoke with them. That's why they asked you to go back, and then they will keep this one. He should go there himself, rather than threatening the community. If you shut down the whole church over there, what is shutting down a church mean? You take away your Holy Communion. That's what it says. Take away the Holy Communion. Let the tabernacle remain open. In other words, there's no communion for you to take. If there's no communion, the church is not in the communion. It's the faith which is in the communion. So I remember when we grew up, it could take 2 months, 3 months before you see where a priest will come around and give you communion. So daily taking of communion is not what makes the faith strong. Now, standing up in difficult times is what makes the church strong. The church is not in the communion. The church is in the people. The heaven is not in the cathedral. The heaven is somewhere in the belief of the people. And so what the bishop should have done, because that collective threat is a different dimension in this struggle. But as a note, let us be known, the Ambazonian federal government that we speak for, that we stand and speak for, is not responsible for those things. There's an official statement out there. This we don't represent us. We don't adopt. We don't ask for ransom. Above all, we don't threaten the church. But it has happened. Whoever has done it, people are well known, because as I've just said, as the story unfolds, they are well known. Priests have been there. They've talked to them. You know where they are. So what is the fault of my old grandmother who sits in the, who only eats fufu corn and wants to go to church on Sunday and take communion? If you withdraw that communion from her, the old mother who is just going to die. How does the problem of adopted priest doesn't solve the problem? This is where faith is tested. This is where leadership is tested. The bishop, if I were him, I've said, should go confront those people, know exactly what they want. If their problem is solely money, if it is purely 10 million pounds, you can as well tell them, well, brothers, I don't know the women there, brothers and sisters, we as a church, we don't pay ransom. You convince them, they will see a need to let those guys go. But to put a collective threat on the people by announcing a shutdown of the church is not a solution to the problem. Not a solution to the problem. The people have different problems. Again, if it is in the context of the Ambazonian war, there's nobody in DOP, priests and lay people alike, who have not tested the wrath of this war. Last week, we were analyzing other pastors, not Catholic pastors, who were adopted, Baptists, and so on and so forth. And so the pain is real, the truth is real. The Archbishop will do better by going to the people to find out the truth. What is it that, maybe, just maybe, if they could let others go and keep the particular priest, might be they have something against him as an individual, not the church. Because if they have something against the church as a block, they will not have released the other 4 priests and the lay guy. But they released this guy and said, we'll keep this one here. Might be, just might be. If the bishop himself went down to talk to the flock, to the people, and say, yeah, I've taken my priest, what is your problem? They will be able to dialogue with him. They will be able to tell him their concern, and she will be able to address it from that angle. The angle that is addressing it through is an angle of threat. Threat against violence is not a solution. Threats against threat, they're threatening if you don't pay the money, we'll kill you, we'll kill your priest. They are threatening them if you don't release the guy, we'll shut down the church. So threat against threat is not a solution to such a problem. I will advise, it might stay in detention. For the Archbishop himself, he's just a human being with 2 legs, 2 eyes, to move to that place and say, what's your problem, gentlemen or ladies, or whoever they are? And then from there, the problem will be better addressed. That's my take about it.
So, barrister, you realize how you're trying to convince them, threats over the church might not work. But even the people at this point, do you think that with all of this happening, the people will still have the faith to continue attending services, knowing that, the leaders in faith are the ones being taken away or kidnapped, as the case may be? Don't you think that the people might also be losing faith at this point? Also,
No, no, no,
not
no.
just the priests.
They are never going to lose faith on that. You see, the problem is that sometimes we underestimate the community of the faithful. A community of the faithful, be it the Muslims or be it the Christians, Catholics, Baptists, they are not idiots. They are very intelligent men and women. Let us just take it back. This is happening after the event of the pronuncio in Bamenda. When these people were gathered in the cathedral before the pronuncio, they were all worshippers. They were faithful Christians. But they were not stupid, faithful Christians. When the pronuncio pronounced something political that did not please them, they told him in open language, that is not what we want. So what you call the faithful, they are not idiots. That will not destroy their faith. The abductors didn't shut down the church. They took away a priest. The same abductors left the other priest to go free. So there's nothing, the faith will not waver. The faith is not found in the church cathedral. That's what I've said here. You can stay in your house and still be a very faithful Christian. Before Christianity came, our great-grandfathers who lived and died, they went to heaven as well if you did a good job. So faith is in yourself. Faith is not manifested by you going to the cathedral to pray or to the church to give alms or whatever thing. No, that's not faith. Faith is more than that. And so people will still have the faith. They will still go to church. But above all, different pastors will come and go. We are criticizing Archbishop Andrew. He's the third Archbishop of Bamenda. Vertigo was the first. Resurfaces was next. Resurfaces is still living there. They are just human beings. They make human errors. They don't appreciate all of them in the same way. The way they appreciate Resurfaces, which is still sitting there, is sitting there, is different. The way they appreciate Archbishop Andrew in Kia, in Bamenda, is very different from the way they appreciate Archbishop Paul in Kumbo. Just this week, Bishop Mbeseha issued a pastoral letter, still addressing the same issues that we have in Cameroon, call it Ambazonia. But his approach was very different. So faith is not found in the particular pastor. Faith is found in the people. People know who is a good pastor. People who know who is a bad priest, and often they are bad priests. That's a fact. Often they are bad pastors. And so the people's faith will not diminish. I say this from a vantage position. I come from the BLM. For the past 9 years, the main Catholic church was shut down because of the crisis. People still had the faith. The church has just reopened. And if you go there into church, you find the crowd that is there. Coming to church 7 years after the thing was shut down, you would have thought that Christianity is dead there. So faith is not in the in the pastor. Different pastors, different bishops, different priests approach programs differently. And sometimes they get it wrong. Like, again, the pronuncio got it wrong last week. Is it last week? Where he was in the cathedral, where they invited this guy to come there as the Bishop Paul Biya, the president of Cameroon, so said the Archbishop. And the community that was in the church, most of them reverend sisters and priests, they said, no, Mr. Paul Biya is not our president. He said, without making errors. So different pastors do approach things differently. I would think that this is a crisis. It's not even of the big crisis. It's something that can be handled, and it should be handled more strategically, more technically, and the problem will be solved. Even if they were to release the guy by the third day, would have ended the problem that these guys are holding this guy for. Would you have known why they are holding him? He would not have known. The guy would have gone away. The wounds of being abducted would remain in the priest. And I can guarantee you, if you release him today, the next 1 month, a bishop will transfer him away from that place to go and heal somewhere. They will send a different person there. And so I think that's how it is. That's how human society works. We are first humans before adopting a particular religion, be it Christianity, be it Judaism, be it Islam. We are first human beings. Over to you.
Thank you, Barrister. We are just first human beings, or probably we are just ordinary human beings, as the case may be. Well, sad news is still not over, because right now we are heading to Pinyin, where tension is rising in the Pinyin area following circulating allegations that 2 individuals identified by the locals and civilians as Juana Lawrence and Acha Simon have been collecting money purportedly to negotiate with or pay off, in quote, armed separatists commonly called and referred to Amber fighters. The question is, who are these Amber boys? They are definitely different from the Ambazonian State Army. Amber boys are owned by different armies that are not collectively fighting for the good cause of Ambazonia. Well, according to several community members who spoke under the condition of anonymity due to safety concerns, the 2 men are alleged to have played a role in facilitating payments intended to influence the activities of armed groups operating in Pinyin. Now, these claims have not been independently verified, and neither individuals has publicly responded to the accusations. Now, the allegations further suggest that the pair may have had prior knowledge or involvement in violent incidents in the area, including the widely condemned Menka massacre, as well as other atrocities attributed to the unknown armed men and militants. Community residents say these accusations resurface after renewed attacks and growing fear amongst villagers, prompting renewed security over internal networks that might be aiding armed actors. Local leaders and civil society representatives have called for a thorough, impartial investigation into the claims. They emphasize that given the complexity of the Ambazonian war, misinformation and politically motivated accusations are common, and therefore any allegation must be handled with caution. But security analysts note that in their war zones, arrangements between civilians and armed groups, whether voluntary, coerced, or fabricated, are often difficult to verify. However, the persistence of such claims underscores the deep mistrust and insecurity that continues to shape daily life in the Ambazonians area. For now, authorities and community organizations are urging residents to remain calm as they seek clarity on the situation. No official statements have been released, and the allegations remains unconfirmed. But we'll definitely follow up with this report. And once all of this has been confirmed, we'll definitely bring it up to you. But these are the reports coming in from the home front, directly from Pinyin at this point. Barrister Mbeseha, what would you say about 2 grown men who are supposed to be elders at this point, said to be responsible for some kind of negotiation with some armed men responsible for some of the massacres and some of the genocides that we have been seeing in Pinyin?
Well, again, like the previous analysis on the bishop, there's a lot in that story. This is Pinyin. Remember that 2019, I think or so, there was massacre in Pinyin where they killed young people, carried them in pickup trucks like game. That was done by the government. And there have been other massacres in Pinyin. So the Pinyin is a traumatized community. They are traumatized. Maybe they are just trying to regain their lives. And somebody thinks he can make some money out of it. He could come and say, well, they are coming. If you don't give us so much money to go and wave them off, they will come again. And who knows? Last time they killed 20, this time they will kill 40, they will kill 50. And who knows who will be spared? It might be one. It might just be one of the victims. So people are a traumatized community already. But what's important to me is, as of now, you don't hear the government, no official statement has been made. Could it be a repeat of what happened when those children were shot down and killed? Have there ever been investigations on those ones? No. They were done by who? But the government, they didn't even deny. They killed them. Who knows? This is a very volatile moment in Cameroon, and most particularly in Bamenda. They might be coming again. So those elders might be doing the right thing. Those soldiers who come and shoot and kill, they are human beings. They are known. They are in uniform. If you collect $1 million and bribe them, they can stay away. So those elderly people might not be just imposters. It is possible, based on the history of Pinyin, that something is looming outside there. The greatest victims in Pinyin have not been victims of Amba fighters. They have been victims of government troops. And say again, who knows whether they are planning this thing? They are trying to keep a traumatized community more traumatized. Is there anything you can do about it? We have not. Who is supposed to find out this thing? The government. But up to this point, government has said nothing. How long does it take for them to cook out a story and tell? And say, well, investigations will continue. That is their track record. That's what they might do. Those two elderly people are not dead. They are alive. Do you need to go so far to get the evidence? You don't need to go so far. But suppose they were self-incriminating. They were incriminating the authorities that be. Do you believe in your honest mind that they will come out with a statement to say about these elderly people caught trying to manipulate the population? I'm very careful about where they were trying to manipulate, or they were trying to inform the population in advance to avert and awaiting and a terrible Ramadan would befall them, like it befell them many other years before. Those are all possibilities. But again, it is the responsibility of government to bring security there. If the people are coming, call them Amber Boys, call them thieves, and they are well known in advance to take money and go and give them. Government should be able to stop them officially. They have the weapons, they have the personnel, they have the courts where they can bring all this to justice. Why are they not doing this? Why are they abandoning their responsibilities? At the same time claiming to be in control. I think he says everything is under control. Is being under control? Is Ndop, where the priests and bishops are being adopted, under control? Certainly not. And so we think that the government has failed. It is continuing to fail. If those two people caught were criminals, they should be in jail today. But they are still free. And government is still waiting to give an order. Either this government is the one of Paul Tangaji through its prefect, or the government of the state council living right there, or the procureur or the magistrate living right there, or the chief of police, or the commanders of multiple forces, the B, the gendarme, and so on, all in that area trying to bring security, but being by just the threat of some rascals coming to town. You must read a lot into this. I think there's pretentiousness. If there's not pretentiousness, there's evidence of total failure of law and order in Pinyin, in Amazonia, and perhaps in Cameroon. Over to you.
Well, we just hope that the peace would return in some way or the other. Heading over to neighboring French Cameroon, where the government of the Gambia has officially confirmed the arrival of Cameroonian opposition figure Mr. Issa Chiroma Bakare, who was confirmed to have entered the country on the 7th of November 2025. Mr. Bakare, a prominent political leader who took part in the recent elections in the Republic of Cameroon, is being hosted in the Gambia strictly on humanitarian grounds as tensions continues to unfold in the aftermath of Cameroon's electoral process. But according to the government authorities, Mr. Bakare's temporary stay in the Gambia is part of efforts to ensure his personal safety while regional and diplomatic consultations continues. Officials emphasize that his presence in the country should not be interpreted as interference in the internal affairs of Cameroons, but rather as a demonstration of African solidarity during a sensitive political moment. Reaffirming its long-standing diplomatic principles, the government stated that the Gambia remains committed to respecting the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all African Union member states. The statement stressed that Gambian territory will not be used for any subversive activities or actions that could undermine peace, stability, or the internal political processes of any other nation. As part of the ongoing diplomatic engagement, the Gambia has been in communication with several key regional partners, including the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to support a peaceful and negotiated resolution to evolving in situation in Cameroon. Authorities noted that these discussions reflect a shared regional commitment to stability and the peaceful resettlement of disputes within the African continent. The government assured the Gambian public that it will continue to provide timely updates as the situation develops and as diplomatic efforts advances. All right, Barrister Mbeseha, while he's calling for sit at home, ghost town, and all of those, setting up a new government, setting up a new vice president, and all of that is being revealed right now that he is in the Gambia. Are you surprised? And what do you think that this will result to eventually? Because I'm not sure until now, people knew that he was somewhere. He came out at some point to the point that he wasn't hiding, that he was safe. But right now it's been revealed that he's in the Gambia. What do you think may emanate from this journey of Chiroma's?
Well, I think what will emanate from this incident, this report from the Gambia, is bigger than what we think. They have given him sanctuary for his own safety, so to say. What crime has Chiroma committed to be running away for his life to be in danger? His only crime is that he won an election. He was a government minister. He wins an election, he becomes a criminal, and his life is in danger. But he finds shelter in the Gambia. And the story told by the Gambian government is not as simple as you think. The most important part of the story is he has told foreign countries, Nigeria and others, to be aware of what is going on. When did other neighboring countries take note of what is going on with presidential candidates in different countries? It is just that the magnitude of the problem is no longer Chiroma. I've said before, Chiroma is bigger than Paul Biya, as you know it. Chiroma is not just a Cameroonian politician. He has become an icon within the region. He has become something important in the world. And so that is where the story is. Officially, he seems to be talking. Are you talking to me?
Question.
Are you getting me?
Yes, please. I want to ask you a question. Barrister, can you hear me? You made a statement. I didn't want us to pass it before. We might not be able to come back. Why do you think that he's bigger? Was he bigger after the elections, or he has always been big, just that he's been respecting the regime that he was involved in? At what point would you say that Chiroma got bigger than Paul Biya? Was it after the elections, or can you say he has always been bigger?
No, he has not always been bigger. He was the government minister under Paul Biya. He took instructions from him. He appointed him. He became what he is today. He's no longer just Chiroma was a spokesman or the minister of transport or whatever thing he had there. He is the Chiroma who is the leader of a people. He is the Chiroma who has won a presidential elections. He's bigger than Paul Biya. Why? Because he defeated Paul Biya at the polls. Ordinarily speaking, he should be the one sitting in a trudy. But they have turned his victory into a criminal act. Why did you defeat our God? Why did you defeat Paul Biya? Until now, they talked of him as the minister of whatever thing in Yaoundé. Today, a foreign government is telling the world that the issue of Chiroma is referred to Nigeria or other neighboring countries. Is that not being big? What else do you expect on the world scene for Chiroma to be? Chiroma is no longer the Minister of Communication. He is no longer the Minister of Transport. He is a crowd-pulling leader who has won an election and becomes a criminal for winning the elections. The eyes of the world, including France, which is visiting now, the president visiting Gabon, they will not fail to discuss the issue. Chiroma Biya, how to silence Chiroma, how to make sure that Paul Biya remains in power. And so that is the size of, it's bigger in politics. It's not his physical body. He can still give orders, which he's giving right now from somewhere. As you said, the communicator, he doesn't want, they will not keep somebody who will destabilize the government. Chiroma did not run to Gambia with an army. He had no army in Gambia that you go and mount and catch Paul Biya. He's just there with his empty mouth, saying that I'm the president. He's saying I'm the president after you have won the election, an act of destabilizing the regime. Is that true? It's not possible. It is the guy who steals the power who is destabilizing the country, not the one who wins an election. So he won the election, at least the majority of people believe, and he too believes. So he cannot be the one destabilizing Cameroon. It's like somebody breaks into your house, he's an armed robber, he's down on your bed, and when you try to come in, he calls you a thief. It's like somebody raping your wife, or your husband taking your husband, and owning her, or owning him, whether they never got married, where you are the rightful husband, you are the rightful husband, you are the rightful wife. And so, officially, Paul Biya is the imposter, because he did not win. Chiroma is the leader who won. But curiously enough, as you have just said, for winning an election, you become a criminal. To run for your life. I mean, it looks funny. So that's what Gambia is saying. But again, I've just said, Chiroma is not trying to destabilize the country. Not trying, because he's the leader, he's supposed to be the leader. He's not come there to, he has not said that he's going to form his own country north or east. No, he's still the president of Cameroon. He's not like us, who said that we have a president of ambassador in a different country. He says he's the president of Cameroon. Cameroonians voted for him. How can he destabilize the country by winning an election in that country? It's not possible. I wonder if that answers your question.
It does. It does. I understand why and how he's bigger right now. But you were going on to tell us more about the diplomatic moves into the Gambia and what may come off after that before I interrupted. So please go ahead.
We cannot predict what will come up. Something will come out. I don't know what. Because even the regime who are sitting there now, including Atanganji, they are not at ease. They can pretend to be at ease. They are not at ease. Because they don't know what will happen to them. Their best friends might reject them. They might accept them, but with a lot of caution. Yeah, you're my friend, but I know you're a thief. Yeah, I'm a robber. I'll let you stay in my house, because if you don't sleep in my house, you'll kill me. If I give you a room in my house, I will make sure that my own room where I'm sleeping is double locked. So you don't wake up in the night and can't kill me. That's what Paul Biya faces in the world right now. And the world knows. It's not me talking. It's not you and me talking. Paul Biya, even during his swearing in, could barely recognize that he's being sworn in. So it's a system that is trying to survive by illusions. Paul Biya is politically dead. He cannot take any viable action. There are imposters who are trying to use his name. They are using his name to chase away the legitimate leaders of the country. What will be the end result, I can't predict. But again, going forward, I believe Cameroon will never be what it was before. Because if nothing, Chiroma has shaken the bare foundation of what they call their own system. The system is shaking, the roots are shaking. That's why they go around, they look for your telephone to see if you are talking about Chiroma. They catch you. Just having a telephone discussion, you are a criminal. because they want to control the narrative. It doesn't work that way. They have to confront Chiroma. Just as I said in the last segment, the Archbishop has to confront those people who are keeping his priests and know what they want. So you are a strong person. You are a bold person who can confront difficulties with their own eyes. Confront it as it is. Don't terrorize others. I'm sure. The Gambia is a country. They are not stupid. It's not even a neighbor. They don't see any boundary with Cameroon. To allow Chiroma to cross borders right to West Africa and go to the Banjul and take asylum. The government in Banjul knows what it is politically. They communicate to the OAU, independent African countries and so on. That is irrelevant. Chiroma has not threatened the integrity of Cameroon. Chiroma has not threatened the institutions of Cameroon. He has simply won an election, as simple as good morning. And therefore, he's supposed to be the protector. He's the protector of those institutions, not an imposter who makes him a criminal, takes over his house, that's his government, his country, and chases him away to run for his dear life. God will not help them if they stay a God. Over to you.
All right. You don't know what will happen, but you're sure something will happen. Okay. So I will just follow your path and we'll be watching out to see what exactly would happen. And until that happens, I would like to allow you to go, hoping to see you tomorrow for another day here on Undaunted. Thank you so much, Barrister Mbeseha, for coming on Undaunted tonight.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Right after the break, we'll head into South Africa, where Ramaphosa closes historic first African G20 summit with a whole lot of sharp policy divisions. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa brought the first G20 summit ever held on African soil to a close on Sunday, marking a symbolic moment for continent's growing role in global governance. The event, hosted in South Africa, drew world leaders at a time of heightened geopolitical tension and competing economic priorities. One of the summit's most striking developments was the decision to release the leaders' declaration on the opening day rather than at the conclusion of talks. This unusual move broke with long-standing G20 tradition and highlighted the urgency and complexities of negotiations behind the scenes. The early release of the declaration came despite strong resistance from the United States, which objected to elements of the draft text. Washington's opposition underscored deeper disputes over the direction and scope of commitments that member nations were expected to endorse. Much of the friction centered on South Africa's chosen priorities for its G20 presidency, particularly its focus on climate change and global wealth inequality. Pretoria sought to advance an agenda that emphasized financing for climate adaptation, sustainability development, and more equitable global economic structures. These priorities, however, were not universally welcomed. Several delegations viewed the agenda as straying from the G20's traditional economic focus, while others worried that ambitious climate commitments could prove politically or economically challenging for member states. Despite the disagreements, Ramaphosa celebrated the summit as a significant achievement for Africa. He argued that the continent's growing influence should be reflected in its international decision-making and that hosting the G20 represents a meaningful step towards amplifying the voices of the South Global Group. Right after the break, we'll head into the globe, where UNICEF secures cheaper malaria vaccine, expanding access for millions. The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, has announced a major step towards making life-saving malaria vaccines more affordable for children in some of the world's most vulnerable regions. In a new agreement backed by Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, UNICEF revealed plans to significantly reduce the cost of the R21 matrix malaria vaccine, a move expected to expand access and bolster global efforts to combat one of the deadliest infections diseases affecting children. According to UNICEF, the agreement aims to lower the price of the vaccine to about $3 per dose, with a reduced cost projected to take effect within the next year. This price drop is anticipated to remove a major financial barrier that has limited vaccine availability in low-income countries where malaria continues to claim hundreds of thousands of lives annually, most of them children under the age of 5. UNICEF emphasized that the new pricing agreement will not only strengthen routine immunization programs, but will also help accelerate the rollout of malaria vaccine in high-risk areas. The deal, facilitated by UNICEF and supported by funding and coordination from Gavi, is expected to generate over $19 million, which will be reinvested to support vaccine supply and distribution. Health officials and global partners are hopeful that this developmental mark will make a turning point in the fight against malaria, with the promise of a more affordable and widely accessible vaccine. Countries burdened by the disease may soon see improved protection for millions of children who remain at risk. Right, this is where we'll end the discussions tonight. Tomorrow happens to be another day. I will definitely bring you highlights from the home front as it comes into the Undaunted studios. But before we go, let's take a look at the news that made it to the headlines. Bambili students abducted amidst ongoing conflict that has rendered the students' residential area unpredictable. Also tonight, we told you that Bamenda Archbishop threatens shutdown over priest kidnapping. Menka Massacre resurfaces and new allegations against two Pinyin residents. Also tonight, we told you that the Gambia hosts Cameroonian opposition figure on humanitarian grounds, while in South Africa, Ramaphosa closes historic first African G20 summit amidst sharp policy division. UNICEF strikes new deal to slash cost of malaria vaccine, boosting access for millions of children. That's it for tonight's Undaunted. Bringing to the news on Church Stories. On behalf of Barrister Tim Mbeseha and the team of technicians behind tonight's production, it's good night and God bless.